Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today we've got a video in our Collecting a Battalion series. And so before we get into the main video, let's have a chat about what this series is all about and what we are hoping to achieve with it. So to do so, I think it's best that we explain what a War Scroll Battalion is first of all. A War Scroll Battalion is a special formation comprised of various units that by taking will give you access to additional abilities for the units inside said War Scroll Battalion in-game. Why are we doing what we are doing? So, collecting a battalion can be a great way to collect to a theme. It gives you a goal to strive towards and an endpoint to reach. By doing so, you can get bonuses for playing with models that thematically go together and a chance potentially to try out models you might not otherwise take because they might not be optimal outside of the battalion. What's the plan with this series though? And so what we're going to do is we're going to try and build an army focusing around the battalion. We're going to thematically build upon the battalion if required. Some battalions don't make up a full 2,000 point army, so we're going to expand upon them thematically, and we will also give ourselves a framework to set an end goal within. So with that all out the way, let's get into the meat of this and we'll go into the video proper right now. Alright, and so today we are looking at the Cities of Sigmar battalion called the Aetherguard Windrunners. This is a battalion from the sub-faction Tempestai, and we'll explain a little bit about why it is a specific sub-faction battalion before we get into the rest of the video. So, Cities of Sigmar is split up into a number of different sub-factions, all of which have their own keyword associated with them as normal, and you must pick one of these sub-factions to be a part of. There is no sort of generic free cities of Sigmar army. You must be from one of these 7 cities. All of these cities are realm locked, and what I mean by that is that they all have a particular realm that they must hail from. In this case we're choosing Tempestai, so we will have the realm Akshi, the realm of fire, chosen for us automatically. What's also interesting is all the battalions within this book are locked to particular cities. Every city has its own special battalion, and as you can see over in the organisation, the keyword Tempestai is in there along with the Free Guild General on Griffin, etc. So we're going to be looking at Tempestai's specific battalion, the Aetherguard Windrunners, today, and trying to build a thematic and cool army around that. The Aetherguard Windrunners and Tempestai in general is all about fast moving, sort of hit and run tactics and really getting the enemy before they have a chance to react. So let's look at the battalion and we'll go into the organisation of the Aetherguard Windrunners first. To start with, organisation for this battalion is you must have 1 Tempestai Free Guild General on Griffin. You can have 3 to 6 units of Tempestai Free Guild Outriders or Tempestai Free Guild Pistoliers in any combination, and 0 to 2 Tempestai Grunstock Gunhaulers. The ability this battalion gives us is units from this battalion can retreat and still shoot and or charge later in the same turn. So one other important thing to notice about Tempestai, and as you saw in the battalion, we can take Caradron Overlords in this battalion. It's a really cool sort of addition that gives us some other tools to play with. In particular, is really cool is this is the only battalion that actually allows you to take KO within any of the city's armies, as the Sylvaneth from Living City don't get the chance to actually do that with their own battalion, but this is quite cool. So we're definitely going to be taking advantage of that and including some Caradron Overlords in our list. To start with though, we're going to have a look at all of the list, and then we'll start talking about it as we go through and probably give a little bit of a brief description at the end of how we think it's going to fight. But without further ado, let's get into the list. And so our army is Cities of Sigmar, obviously. We have the sub-faction Tempestai, which we must take in order to take the Aetherguard Windrunners Battalion. And we have chosen to be from the realm Akshi because we don't have a choice. Once again, we're realm locked in a city's army. For the leaders, we've chosen a Free Guild General on Griffin to make the battalion legal. and we're going to make him our general. He's going to have the command trait Hawkeye, which gives +1 to wound to all shooting attacks around him, which is really cool. And he's also going to have the artifact, the Zephyrite Banner, which gives some reroll charges around him for free. This is really cool because we really want our command points to be spent elsewhere throughout the army to give us a run and shoot. And also, Hawkeye, we've got so much shooting in this army, it really goes well. The Griffin himself is no slouch in combat, and the reason he's the general is because he's probably the most survivable character there that we've got. And really no other reason besides that why he's the general, because he can sort of get in the thick of the fighting and not have to worry as much as some of our other pieces. Next up, we've got a Celestial Hurricanum with Celestial Battle Mage, and the spell this one is going to take is going to be Aura of Glory. This is an absolutely fantastic spell as it puts out an aura buff of +1 attack. This can be really great with some of the abilities from our units that we'll start talking about later, but it's a really good spell. Although in this army, I think spells aren't quite as necessary as abilities are, and so we've not doubled down on this spell in the army like normal. Next up, we've got a Knight Azeros, and he's going to have the artifact Searstone Amulet. The Searstone Amulet allows him to take effectively roll a dice, and on a 4+, we get a command point. This is just giving some extra command points to the army in a different way, rather than sort of taking the general and the adjutant. Our last hero, we're going to take a Lord Arcanum on Gryph-Charger, and he's going to have the spell Celestial Visions. Lord Arcanum on Gryph-Charger was an interesting choice, and I was contemplating going for other sort of wizards, but in the end I thought the Arcanum just gives that amount of mobility to the army that sort of other wizards just will fall behind and won't have. He fits the overall theme of fast moving, and everything in this army can move at least 10 inches. And he's obviously got some really cool abilities with his Ride the Winds Etheric. He's going to have the spell Celestial Visions, and this is another way to get some command points in the army, because this spell gives you a command point when it goes off. Nice, cool, and simple. He's also no slouch in combat and can actually make some short work of any sort of backfield lightly armoured units that are holding objectives. Now we get into the meat of the army, and so there are only actually 2 unit options that we've taken in this whole army. You can, however, probably swap out some stuff, and we'll explain that as we go through. But to start with, this army is going to be focused around the battle line options of 10 Free-Guild Pistoliers, 10 Free-Guild Pistoliers, 5 Free-Guild Pistoliers, and another 5 Free-Guild Pistoliers. So with this, the 2 units of 5 are going to be being able to be used as screens if we can't get the first turn in a game, and the 2 units of 10 are going to be what deals the damage. In games where we don't need screens, we can set up much more aggressively and use all of these Pistoliers to maximum effect. Now, the most important thing that makes Pistoliers really cool is their ability to shoot when they charge. So they've got some really cool abilities. So Hail of Bullets is what I'm talking about. After this unit makes a charge move, it can shoot with its brace of pistols. Now, brace of pistols are going to be +1 to wound thanks to the command trait Hawkeye, so they're actually going to be 4s to hit and 2s to wound with 2 attacks each. Now, the reason why we've taken the Celestial Hurricanum is we're going to lower that to 3s to hit and 2s to wound. And so, effectively, if we're getting charges off with all these units, they're actually going to be shooting 4 times a turn with -1 damage, 1 3s to hit, and 2s to wound. We can also choose to take a repeater handgun on the Sergeant. This effectively just gives him D3 attacks with the exact same profile, though a little bit longer range. Pistoliers are rather short range and do have some issues with that. However, this is where our command points are going to come in, because of the command trait for Tempestite that gives us run and shoot. Also worth remembering that because we're Tempestite, we're going to get +3 inches of movement in our turn 1, meaning if we use command points wisely and smartly in this army, we're actually going to have our Pistoliers moving 21 inches turn 1. This will get them in range with those pistols, giving them a 30-inch threat range, allowing them to offload, charge, and then because of the abilities of the battalion, we can actually retreat out of combat the next turn and do this all over again, allowing us to make maximum effect of the Free-Guild Pistolier's ability to shoot on the charge and get the maximum amount of shots we can every turn. This is very important, though, that we pick our fights carefully, and we only ever use our pistoliers to tag in, because the idea is not for them to actually do anything in combat itself, but their combat is effectively the shooting they are able to do in the charge phase. This also is a great little ability, as it allows us to ignore some of the effects that particular models might have, such as, say, Keeper of Secrets, Ghoul Kings on Terrorghusts, and other Activation Wars abilities. Because we're shooting in the charge phase, we can shoot them off the table, hopefully, before they actually get a chance to do their abilities. Once again though, it's very important that we pick our targets very carefully, and we use this army as much as a scalpel as possible to pick off bits of our enemy force. We of course at times will have to make trades, and it's just making sure those trades are highly worth it to make sure we're not throwing away units and losing the battle because they're our own moves. Now into our other units, and this is an interesting thing, is we're going to take 2 Grunstock gun haulers. Grunstock gun haulers obviously have the fly high ability, and they're really fantastic models. They've got a decent amount of shooting potential, and they can really help us take down some threats and gang up with the pistoliers, but also threaten objectives that we otherwise wouldn't be able to threaten, because there is one thing we sort of lack with the pistoliers, and that is the fly ability. The gun haulers can get where our pistoliers can't and take off pieces or capture objectives that our opponent leaves unguarded. Last up in the army though, we're obviously going to have the battalion in the army, because that's the whole point of this, but we're also going to take an extra command point just to make sure we start with at least a couple, so we can be making sure that at least those 2 blocks of big pistolier blocks can get the run and charges that they need. But the idea of this army, once again, is to use it as a scalpel, picking off the enemy pieces as we go and trying to make the most out of all those pistoliers that we can. There are some options you could do, and pistoliers aren't necessarily the only way to go in this. Outriders definitely do have a place and could potentially replace the pistolier blocks, one or both, if you so choose. The Outriders' difference is that they're not going to be making as much use of the retreat and charge from the battalion, so you're probably not getting as much out of it as you could otherwise. However, there is one last thing to mention though, in that the retreat and charge actually goes on our Frigate General on Griffin as well. So being able to have this Griffin that can retreat and charge is really great for just swooping around and getting into your opponent's backfield really quick. Effectively, what you can do with this is, if you can play for doubles, and you play a little bit high risk playing for doubles as you always do, but you could always charge in and then swing with that Griffin and round to your opponent's backfield and really threaten those support characters they try to keep hidden from you. But that's all from me today. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you again real soon. But thank you all for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this first video in the series, and I hope we can continue to provide you with more and better videos in this series. If you've got any thoughts or ideas, or even some comments to make about anything you saw in this video, please leave them down in the description below. It's very much appreciated. I hope I can use this to sort of help everyone out that little bit and get everyone's campaigns off to a great start and continuing to be fantastic things for both GM and player alike. Don't forget to like the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Every subscription helps, and every like helps other people find the channel. And thank you to everyone who has already subscribed. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Special thanks are in order for all of those people who help us out by supporting the channel financially on Patreon. Those are our Sinful Guard Militia, Christian Weir, Philip Ward and Dwight Crow, as well as the Sinful Free Guild Regiment member James. You guys are all amazing, and thank you so much for your support. We'll continue to put out more content like this and on other subjects on the channel, and we hope you'll support us in the future as well as now. Thank you once again. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting the war against the Grey. We'll see you again real soon.